Europa ha patit molts canvis en la seva geografia política al llarg de la seva història. En l'actualitat, sembla que tot ha arribat al seu clímax amb la creació de la Comunitat Europea, però el poder dels estats tradicionals evita que algunes nacions se sentin representades i busquin més autogovern o fins i tot la independència. A Catalunya estem vivint un d'aquests processos, aparentment amb molta més força i suport popular que les altres regions. Però al nord de la vella Europa hi ha un moviment que ha tingut molta importància aquests últims mesos. Parlem d'Escòcia, on vam anar per intentar entendre una mica més què buscaven i què volien canviar amb la independència. Vam poder viure els dies previs i posteriors al referèndum. Ara volem que vostès els visquin amb nosaltres. Agafem el cotxe fins a Dundee, on hem quedat amb dues persones partidàries del sí. Per què creus que Escòcia estarà millor independitzada del Regne Unit? Et consideres un nacionalista escocès?
Well, I'm a cultural nationalist before a political nationalist, but I realise that it's necessary for political control to support the culture. My first language was Scots. My mother tongue was Scots, and it was a language that was looked down upon in education. One of the ironies of a Scottish education was that you were given a little prize one day a year for reciting the poetry of Robert Burns in Scots, and then you were punished the other 364 days for speaking his language. So that's the kind of thing I want to change dramatically. A lot of people have gone through their education without knowing a single word of Scottish literature. So part of the problem with the Scottish cringe, the slave mentality as the Catalans call it, is that a lot of people are not educated in their own culture. If they were, more people would be involved in the national movement. But it's remarkable that so many people have come out for the national movement, and I will vote yes.
Quin creus que és l'origen del moviment independentista escocès?
Well, it's been building up since the 1970s with deindustrialisation, with Mrs. Thatcher, who was very right-wing and who alienated the Scots by imposing unpopular policies on them. And eventually the realisations from people on the left that perhaps the only way they would change things would be to vote for Scottish nationalism.
So would you say it's more cultural?
Creus que tot el que està passant té un origen més cultural o econòmic?
The culture is part of it because, for example, the writers have been in the vanguard of this for centuries. Scottish writers, Scottish literature have led the national movement. The politicians have followed. So the culture is important, although the culture has not been a big thing in this referendum because they are trying to appeal to people who aren't ethnically Scottish. It's been a much broader appeal to try and get. There's English for independence, Irish for independence, Polish for independence, Asians for independence. As a Scot who loves the traditions of my country, the egalitarian traditions of my country, the sovereignty of my country that goes back for centuries and centuries, the multi-ethnic, multilingual nature of my country, which I'm very proud of, the native languages, Scots and Gaelic, which need to be fostered, need to be encouraged, the brilliant literary tradition that we have needs to be fostered, needs to be encouraged because a lot of people have not been educated in our own culture or in our own history. Once we are educated in that, then there will be no problem in the future. We will all immediately identify first and foremost as Scots. The duality, if you like, has been part of this cultural colonisation that's going on for the past 3 centuries. The Catalans are well aware of that, living in a state like Spain. So I hope that the people win a victory over the state, because that's what it's come down to. It's the huge power of the state versus the hopes and aspirations of the people, and I hope the Scottish people win.